I am someone who does not experience FOMO or fear of missing out with a lot of things in life. I don't care about missing parties, social gatherings, or things like that, because I believe I can always have a similar experience at a different time. But when it comes to physical things like makeup and tarot, I have experienced a lot of FOMO and I wanted to talk about it. This is my response to the hashtag deckFOMO, which is a VR to April from Tarot and Witchery, a tag that I found on the channels of Exploring Tarot and Venus in Virtual, which I'll all link in the description box below. I get triggered for deck FOMO when I see other tarot tube creators adore a tarot deck that I don't have and that I believe I don't have anything similar to in my collection. There are plenty of decks in my collection that are hashtag Lisa made me do it, where I saw Lisa Papaz share a tarot deck that I felt like I had to have. To me, it is about the energy that someone brings out when talking about a deck that makes me enthusiastic and excited about it. When I see so many different people talking about a certain deck, it creates FOMO for me, because why do I not have that deck in my collection if I can possibly love it as much as they do? Another trigger for me is availability. A deck that is limited edition can easily trigger FOMO for me because it's something that I cannot get when it goes out of stock. A FOMO deck purchase that I regret is the Tarot Renard. I did see this on the channel of Lisa Papaz and she talked about it and it was totally her thing, and the energy that she brought out when talking about this deck made me think that I really wanted the deck too. But I have learned that that is not always the case, especially with the Tarot Renard. I think it is cute. I think the images are gorgeous. I think the art is gorgeous. I love the idea of the deck, but overall, it does not fit in my collection. It doesn't have a place in my collection because I don't use decks like that. Another FOMO deck purchase that I regret is the Darkwood Tarot. It is a deck that I saw on many tarot tube channels of people that loved the Darkwood Tarot, and it is gorgeous. It's really pretty. I love the Llewellyn cardstock, but overall it is not a deck that I use. I realized that I don't like very dark themed tarot decks, so I ended up decluttering it and sort of regretting that I bought into the FOMO. I have learned how to set limits when it comes to deck purchases simply because I had to. Halfway through my tarot journey, I found myself without a job, so I had to be careful about any purchases that I made. I am still not in the best place financially, and sometimes it is when we're in such places that we truly learn how to be mindful about our spending. I set limits by asking myself questions about the deck and what place it could have in my collection. Do I have something similar? If so, will it compete with it or complement it? If I don't have something similar, is it because I don't need something like that in my collection? And if I don't pick it up now and it goes out of stock, out of print tomorrow, how sad will I be about it? I try to take a look at my entire collection before placing another order to see if I really need this deck in my life. I now own exactly 30 tarot decks if I count the one that is on its way to me right now, 6 Oracle decks and 1 Lenormand deck. I don't know if I'm truly comfortable with that number, and I certainly have some tarot decks that I have been thinking about decluttering, and I definitely feel a deck purge coming on because I'm currently feeling super overwhelmed with basically everything in my life. I would love to hear how many decks you have and whether or not you feel comfortable with that number. How many decks does one truly need? That's an interesting question, because before I answer this question, I want to make clear that I think the amount of decks that you need doesn't have to be the same that you want or that you have. It is okay to own more decks than you can use if that is something that you are okay with. For me, I don't want more decks than I can use. I want to use all the tarot decks that I have. For me, it is a tool that I use and not an object that I collect. Therefore, I know that there are decks in my current collection that need to go because I don't use them. If I would be truly harsh with decluttering and only keep the decks that I would truly use for all sorts of different readings, I could possibly only need 5 to 10 decks, and even that sort of sounds like a lot, but then when I really like go through my collection, I do feel a connection with more than just 10 decks, and I'm okay with that. The first deck that comes to mind when I think of positive deck FOMO purchases is my Little Wizards Tarot. This is a deck that I purchased not because I saw a lot of people talk about it, because I saw no one talk about it when I purchased it, but because it was limited edition. It is still up, I believe. The creator had like 80 prints of this deck, and I just knew I had to have it because I adore Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I have an entire Harry Potter shrine right here and I will go into the conversation of separating the art from the artist in a later video, which is something that I've struggled with a lot, and this is not officially licensed. This is just by a creator who is amazing and who created a deck including the Harry Potter world, and I love it. Another positive deck FOMO purchase of mine is the Tattoo Tarot. I saw so many people talk about this deck and I sort of felt like I was missing out, so I got it and I absolutely love it. One that I am a little bit unsure about is the Wild Unknown Pocket Tarot. I actually got this as a gift from someone who saw this on my Amazon wishlist, so they gifted it to me, which was really, really kind. But I am not sure about this one because this is one that I saw everybody talk about on TarotTube. Everybody loves this. Everybody loves what this has done for the tarot deck space. I wasn't in the tarot community, in the tarot space when this deck came out, so I sort of missed all that. And there were some readings that I have done with this that really resonated and where I totally understand where the adoration of this deck comes from. And I'm glad sort of for now that I have it, but I don't know if this is gonna stay in my collection for the long term. Another positive deck FOMO purchase that came from it possibly being limited edition is my Afro Avatar Tarot. And it is sort of similar to my Little Wizards Tarot, where this is about a franchise that I love. And the Little Wizards Tarot definitely was limited edition, but I wasn't sure if this one was, and now it is out of print. And I am so happy that I have it because it is gorgeous. I love it. I did an entire deck study on this, and this is a tarot deck that I cannot ever see myself parting with. This might be one of my favorite cards in the deck. There are definitely more tarot decks that I purchased because they were popular and I sort of had FOMO, but I was thinking about creating an entire TarotTube tag on hashtag popular deck tag or something like that, so I'm still working on that. I think deck FOMO is very prevalent in the TarotTube community, and I'm not saying that that is a bad thing, nor that it is something exclusive to the TarotTube community, because I think it is actually very similar to the makeup community. In both communities, it is about sharing the product and sharing our opinions of the products. Some opinions may persuade us to buy something, while other opinions might prevent us from buying something. It helps us to hopefully make better decisions when it comes to our purchasing. And yes, sometimes we do get super clouded with someone else's opinion, with someone else's enthusiasm, and it is good to practice a little bit of self-restraint. Why do I like this deck? Just because of their energy and their opinion? Does this deck really work and have a place in my collection? And I think all these questions are more connected to the conversation of deck consumerism, which is closely connected to the conversation of deck FOMO. I do think that the conversation is slowly shifting from buying all the decks and collecting them to curating our collections and being more mindful about our purchases. I think both situations are fine. Some people simply love to collect, and it's no different when it comes to tarot. And I think we need to respect the people who decide to collect tarot decks, but I also think it is important to think about whether or not we are one of those people. And if not, how can we go about our tarot purchases in a mindful way? If you liked this video about deck FOMO and you are now inspired to go grab a deck and do a reading, here is my video on 30 deck prompts for a tarot reading. Subscribe if you want to see more tarot chats and tarot readings. Click here to book a tarot reading with me. And if you want to do this tag for yourself, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.